The previous non-championship round pitted drivers against a road course and a rather twitchy open-wheel car, a pretty far cry from the typical style of racing they're used to. Today's fun race involves some more usual fare. However, the cars themselves will present some unique challenges. Who will be able to adapt to these old-school machines? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the second non-championship round of the South Sound Speedway E-Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Charlotte Motor Speedway has been a pivotal part of NASCAR history, so it's fitting for the organizers to place these 87 Cup cars on here. Let's take a look at our track guide to learn more.
Welcome everybody to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Even though it was built more than 4 decades ago, drivers still love to race at this 1.5-mile quad-shaped oval. Located just a short 13-mile drive from downtown, Charlotte also shares a similar track shape to what you would see at the Texas Motor Speedway and the Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. Despite turns 1 and 2 having the same banking as turns 3 and 4, the two ends of the speedway could not drive any different. Turn 1 and 2 are much more of a sweeping corner, really carrying the speed down into the corner and trying to get that hole shot out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Turns 3 and 4 drive much tighter than 1 and 2, really having to get the car to rotate in the middle of 3 and 4 to make your entry and your exit point. Getting a lap in around here in one piece usually requires some calm nerves and a patient foot. Charlotte was one of the first speedways to install lights around the facility, giving night racing a whole new berth. Charlotte is also known for its place in the perfect day of racing every Memorial Day, acting as the caboose after the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indianapolis 500. If Daytona is the pinnacle of NASCAR racing, then Charlotte has to be just a bumper behind. Fans flock to the largest sports facility in the Southeast and NASCAR's home track. This has been our guide to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Charlotte has, of course, also been on iRacing for quite some time, but, well, DJ, this is the newer version of it with a recent scan.
That's right, Joe. Back in 2018, iRacing did release a brand new scan of Charlotte, incorporating the repave that they put in. So the banking is now at 24 degrees that does exist in real life on this circuit, as well as you can see portions of the world famous Charlotte Roval, but the character still remains on this track of the old school NASCAR style that these 87 Cup cars are really going to bring well to it. It's a classic track. You're going to see, I think, a lot of rubbing, a lot of good racing across the board, as Charlotte always seems to provide something special.
It should be fun to see how these drivers take to what is going to be somewhat simple machinery compared to what they have today. Before we get to the racing itself, we want to remind you that this series is brought to you by Key Property Services. Key Property Services, Inc. is a locally owned full-service property management, real estate, and construction contracting company. KPS has been serving the greater Clark County area for over 30 years. For more information, visit kpsinc.net. Key Property Services, where service is the key. It is also brought to you by United Roofs. As specialists in residential and commercial roofing services, they're dedicated to providing customer service that is second to none. Whether you have a new construction project or it's time for repairs, they offer the roofing services you need. To learn how to book a free estimate, go to unitedroofs.com. Now, we, of course, have this one-off special event for the series, even though they usually have a championship. So, DJ, why don't you run down the race details of what the drivers are up against here?
Well, as we said before, they are going to be running the 87 Cup cars, which were added to the iRacing service about 6 months ago on a 90-lap race for this special one-off non-championship New Year's payout race. That's right, these guys are racing for money here tonight. So definitely expect to see some fun from that perspective. Now, the caution flags that we will see, they are going to be issued by race control. The iRacing stewards are not there, so they'll be able to, we're talking talking about real people here. They'll be able to check and see, you know what, that's going to get cleared by the time. And as we mentioned, they're racing for real money. Winner tonight is going to get a good old $50 bill right to their bank account.
Yeah, I'll pay for a few tracks and a few cars here on iRacing, or maybe they can put it towards their subscription. We'll see who comes away with that in the end, as we're currently in the midst of warm-up. Then they'll get a 5-minute qualifying and only 2 laps to set a good time. As you can tell, it's actually quite late in the evening. The sun is just about done going down here in the warm-up as the 4 of Derek Presley has a few problems navigating 1 and 2. But with these low temperatures, DJ, does that mean we'll get a quick one on the first lap, or we expect drivers to really have to get them spooled up?
I think you're going to have to get them spooled up a little bit, try to get as much heat into the tires as possible to take full advantage of the grip. It is going to take a minute to do that. So it's not going to be fast and fierce, I think, going into one. I think everybody's going to have to take it a little bit cautiously. But as you saw there from Presley, those cold tires can catch you out if you're not careful. So that may be what we see if guys are not completely on their game.
We currently ride on board with Derek Presley once again, getting the speed up on the back stretch. I love the views of the vintage cars here in iRacing, and the Cup cars are no exception. Just feels like you're watching those old races on TV like I did growing up. So he comes around and gets ready to start another few laps. The other interesting thing will be, with it being 90 minutes, wonder how the pit stops are going to play out. You can see just how difficult it is. Once again, Derek nearly losing it coming through 1 and 2. Is this a track where we'll see tires be king, or is this a track position is king sort of situation?
Well, Joe, with as cool as it is, I have to imagine the track position is going to be king. These guys are going to need to come in and get a top off at some point. But I don't think that you're going to be gaining a whole heck of a lot of time with tire degradation. So really and truly wanting to stay ahead, we're going to have to see how the draft plays out in these cars, what it is, how easy it is to pass, if you're able to hold a lead, that kind of stuff. With the 70-degree air track temperatures, we're going to have to wait and see, and that's the best answer I can give you on that. But my gut tells me track position is going to be key.
And no shame in that. I'm sure even the drivers are going to have to try and watch and wait to see how it will play out. They do have a spare car, if you will. For those not familiar with iRacing, if they get damage of any sort, they are allowed to come into pit lane with the way that the organizers have set this up and take a completely fresh car. It'll keep the same amount of fuel, keep the same tires on it, and you can duck back out. But they only get one of them, so you got to save it for the right moment. Watch the driver currently second in the warm-up standings, Travis Barnes, trying to see if he can overtake Cole Raz, who has set a pretty quick lap here at 31.1 currently out there in the practice session. Also, we will note that just like real life, there is a limit to the tires. They've only got 3 sets in addition to the one that they have on the cars right now. So if they do find themselves wanting to come in and tires working a little bit better, they, of course, can't do it too many times over the course of these 90 laps, as Cole Raz is absolutely wheeling this thing, completely sliding off of turn 4.
Oh, you can just see how little grip these cars have. It's really, really a driver's car, Joe. You've just got to have ultimate feel. Dips it down there below that blue line a little bit. That's a gutsy line there from Raz. I know I certainly wouldn't be doing that, but there you can see him thundering down the backstretch. You can feel the bumps in this car. This is suspension's not to what we're used to with the 2020 Cup cars that we see on the track. Getting it off that corner. Whoo, little tail slide there. That's going to be a big area, I think, to watch out for. That transition from the banking onto the flat part, coming onto the main stretch, it's going to catch a few people out.
Already clearly being quite a handful for a number of our drivers as the warm-up finally finishes up. So we now begin our qualifying session. Will that track position be ever critical? And who will get the pole here today? It doesn't award anything like the race does, so there's no cash prize for getting the top spot other than that track position and maybe a little bit of an ego boost on top of things, as Dichinowski currently out there and getting things spooled up as he exits the pit lane and now drifts up high onto the back stretch.
He's going to be trying to get that car. You see him taking that high line, just trying to keep momentum up as much as possible. He's not going to start dipping down to take the faster low line until he's putting on the flying laps. There you see him lining things up, getting ready to go, hoping to put in a good time.
His first lap in, and the car really sliding on entry. In fact, it looks fairly loose. So as he comes down the backstretch, will he be able to get it a little bit more stable on the second time around? Many of our drivers have already come out for these first laps. And once again, that is an extremely loose car for the number 18 on this first lap. This first flying lap. He comes to cross the line. What's it going to be? A 31.944. Beatty's already beaten him in that first time. Eric Johnson Jr. now goes up to the pole position. Caden Anderson on the outside of that front row.
Everybody really putting in good times. You can see just how much of a handful these cars are. They're fighting every way through this new Charlotte, not made for old school NASCAR, very much made for the newer models. Here comes Jeff Peterson trying to put in a good time, seeing what he can do. That's a 32.6. That's not gonna be fast enough for Peterson. He's gonna be hoping for more.
Here's what's fascinating. Cole Raz spun out on his first lap. So the driver who was quickest in practice might be under the gun here in qualifying. I'm not even sure if he'll be able to get a second one that will count. Derek Presley runs a little bit quicker on his second lap, but he'll stay P8, unfortunately.
You see him losing it. Here comes Cole Raz, though, trying to start that fast lap, praying he can keep it all together as he gets ready to put in some time, diving down into one. You can see the rear end of that car trying to slip away from him. Tire heat not fully built up in these tires. He's able to keep it straight and narrow on the backstretch, but it still wants to dance around on him there, Joe.
Isaiah Gill, who's been quick at most of the races so far this year, goes to 7th on his first lap. Raz coming out of turn 4. He looks like he will be allowed to count this lap. And it's a 31.526. That'll put him up onto the second row.
He'll be relatively pleased with that from that recovery. Here comes Gill. You mentioned, oh, that lap's not going to count as he hits the wall real hard coming off of 4. Travis Barnes, though, your current leader, seeing if he can better himself. He cannot, puts in a 31.509. Kyle Matthews there currently sat in 11th, seeing if he can do better. Comes out of the corner. What's he got?
But he went across the grass. I don't think this one's going to count. Yep. And Kenneth Garber is going to be the last one, I think, to set a lap. Nope, he also had some sort of issue that time through, and that one did not count. And that is going to be it for everybody's laps around here. Don't think we have enough time for anybody else to get one in. Eric Cheney's the only one that hasn't set a time, and he is not currently waiting to go out on track. So even if he does get it running, he would only get a single one in. And I'm not seeing any sign that he is going to try and take to the pavement. So that will determine our grid of 15 today. Let's go through our starting order. It's going to be Travis Barnes, who will be on the pole, with Eric Johnson Jr. starting in second position. Caden Anderson will be P3 with Cole Raz in the 4th spot, just getting one in at the very end there. Andy Johnson puts it into 5th with Bryce Beatty in 6th. Inside of the next row has Matthew Dichinowski with Isaiah Gill to his outside. Ryan McLeod will start P9, and Kenneth Garber rounds out your top 10.
Lining up in 11th is going to be Kyle Matthews, followed by Scott Degenstein, and then Derek Presley in 13th, and Jeff Peterson behind him. Eric Cheney not able to set a time, but that is going to be your starting field of 15 here at Charlotte.
90-lap race here today for $50 on the line. Who is going to claim it? And who is going to be able to manage to handle these beastly cars? Very heavy and with a lot of power underneath them, and not a whole lot of grip, if we're honest. It's a base car now pops out there, and everybody slowly works their way to the grid. The other thing that I love about what we've got here with these vintage cars is all the classic schemes that so many of them have rocked up with. We've seen some Darrell Waltrip tributes. We've seen a few with, of course, the appropriately Dale Earnhardt cars as he actually drove this Monte Carlo. And then haven't seen any Bill Elliott schemes though yet.
No, there's certainly a few that we haven't seen, but it is always good to see a blast from the past showing up here. One of the things that iRacing has really taken into consideration as of recently is trying to honor and preserve a lot of racing history, but with these cars, obviously the addition of North Wilkesboro Speedway, there's been talk of Nazareth and certain other tracks that are lost by the wayside that iRacing is determined to keep alive and well in the hearts and minds of the racing community.
And now Nazareth, I would be impressed because everything I've heard is that that one is pretty far gone, with even patches of the pavement being gone. So I'd be curious to learn more about what's going on there as we wait for the pace car to take off. Now, are we going to get Eric Cheney, as he's not in the session? So I'm not sure that Eric Cheney is going to actually race today. A few drivers very antsy to go. The number 37 of Caden Anderson, that beautiful, very reflective red car, now on his way. Indeed, it looks like we will not see Eric Cheney take part. So 14 drivers who will race today. What a single pace lap, and then we go running for 90 laps here today at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
It'll be a good one, Joe. You see these drivers getting all set, getting in that line, trying to get everything settled. They're going to be anxious to get on the loud pedal, but I think they've got to be really cautious coming into turn one before these tires are up to full temperature.
A few of them trying to weave a little bit to get some heat into the rubber, as well as just accelerate and brake. As they look beautiful under the lights coming down the backstretch. Also, I see you notice the Days of Thunder reference in there, and also a Cars reference, as we've got the Dynaco.
That was my next question, if that was the same one.
Definitely some fans of some more fictional vehicles out here that I would love to give a tip of the hat to as well. So, pace car now peels into the lane, and that'll give Travis Barnes control of the field in the number 11. He accelerates away as the green flag waves. It's a great jump for Barnes over Eric Johnson Jr. Behind him in the number 21, Cole Raz, getting a bit of an advantage over Caden Anderson. And he's going to slip into third with that one. Very single file down into the first corner, and no issues so far.
Thank goodness. That was really, really heads up there from Anderson. I thought for sure that Raz was going to be able to get a good enough start around him, but able to hold that off. They go in a little bit sideways here through the corner, but everybody keeping it in line. Oh, big slide up from our leader.
Eric Johnson Jr. actually, I think, got the slide. The second place driver, he falls back to fourth, holds it together, loses a bunch of positions behind him. Unfortunately, the 77 of Bryce Beatty slaps the outside wall, trying to avoid getting into the slow car.
And this is where that live race control really comes into a play. That may have set off a trigger or two with iRacing, but not here today. Everybody keeping it nice and easy. Big backlog there in the back. You can see them all getting together, but up front, getting some good dicing action going on.
Boy, these cold tires are very difficult, because I saw two cars slide up and understeer into the outside of 3 that time through. Neither of them wrecked, but certainly did some damage to the right side of the car. I'm watching Eric Johnson Jr. on his climb back forward. Isaiah Gill, there you can see in the Dynaco machine, trying to defend. And the 14 of Eric Johnson Jr. is going to take away the apex. Can he complete it down on the low side of 3 and 4? Yep, he's got it.
And can he keep it off the wall coming off of 4? That was my next question there, but he's able to hold it nice and easy, holding on to that position. But it looks like Isaiah Gill's not letting him go that easy off.
All 14 cars still running here at the start, but we had we got a big wreck with Dichinowski, who is around in the number 18, and I think he took a few drivers with him. And the caution is out. That is presumably for that accident. He got a big blow from the number 4 of Derek Presley. And then another hit from Kyle Matthews.
All right, as we're going to try to jump back here and take a look at what happened. That's Dichinowski there in the leading Wrangler car. And so you see him here coming from the tri-oval. That is right behind him, getting ready to make that move. Yeah, there's that little tag, and that just sends him spinning. Collection, collection, collection.
Seems that a lot of drivers, unfortunately, not able to avoid just because of that one touch with the wall. Jeff Peterson, though, did. And the number 23 moves up to 12th after that. That's our first caution of the day. Who is going to come on in and take their spare car? Naturally, Dichinowski needs to. His engine was up in smoke with those contacts. And we'll see if anybody else, as they come around to the pit lane, elects to hit this early one on lap 5. And everybody stays out.
Well, hopefully that'll play off and nobody's got too much damage here. We've seen what can happen if you're running slow with a little bit of damage in these cars in this series before. But everybody's staying out. Joe, looks like that track position, like we talked about, that's going to be king. Nobody wanted to dive for tires, anything like that this early.
Right. So what is this restart going to look like as well? It appears to me that the cars are severely understeery, at least going into the corners here. DJ, I saw so many drivers just find themselves spearing off into the outside wall. I mean, do you anticipate that to go away a little bit as the stint goes on, maybe?
I think it's going to be a bit of a catch-22 as the track cools down with the sun going down even more. I think they're going to have a hard time with front grip on these cars. But as the tires wear down, they get a little more heat into them, they're going to get a little bit more grip. I think we need about 5 to 10 laps for these cars really to be working at their peak operating speed with temperatures as cool as they are. So I think what we're seeing right now is a little bit of just sort of take it all nice and easy.
Dichinowski apparently did not set his car up to take his spare machine out when he got into the pits, because he's been in there for about 2.5 minutes. He's already 2 laps down, about to go another one as the pace car goes by. I think, in fact, we should have the lights off this time. Let's watch and see. In fact, as they are already getting a start, and this will be on lap 8 that we will go green. It'll be Raz on the outside of Travis Barnes on the restart.
And we saw that inside line working out to effect earlier. We'll have to see if it plays out again as they get ready to go. Now on the backstretch, this line of cars just finding and waiting and ready and rearing.
All right, we're going to be down to 13 cars on the restart. Dichinowski still has an opportunity to try to the race, but a win looks highly unlikely, unfortunately, for the number 18. What can the 11 do on this restart? He's interestingly holding back quite a bit. You see him on the bottom side in the blue and white. Barnes is, I'm not sure why he's doing this, though.
Maybe a little bit of gamesmanship, maybe just a little bit of trying to get into the head of Cole Raz, but we'll have to see here. Pace car about ready to dive down, and Barnes will control the field as soon as it does.
There goes the pace car. Barnes is waiting. He's checking him up, giving it a long time this time, and now he goes. Definitely catches out Cole Raz as he had some wheel spin on that restart, and already the 14 looks to the inside, but he has to lift as the 21 covers him off. Behind them in the 28, Andy Johnson going high, but it looks like, as DJ mentioned, it is not working quite yet. The 37 of Caden Anderson fends him off for 4th.
Yeah, that high line, just not enough grip up there, getting too high up into that. A little bit of the marbles that have been laid down, everything else. Trying to do it. They're going to have to stay single file here at least for a lap or two to try to get heat into those tires, but don't tell that to Cole Raz as he's just really starting to poke his nose.
And I hear someone spinning, and that is going to be Andy Johnson this time. He got hit, and we have another caution. car that got into him was the 77 of Beatty, unfortunately.
And here it is back on the replay. There you see, ooh, just gets out to the outside. Can't tell if that was a little bit of contact in the middle or what that was. But that is going to be a very hard hit for Andy Johnson. His motor's smoking. You can see it again here. That 86 just, yeah, it looks like there's a little, goes down into the grass. No, there was no contact. That looks like it was his own.
Yeah, and the car that sent him spinning was Isaiah Gill in the 24. So 2 cars making for sure contact with that number 28. Incredibly, Johnson's still driving it around and trying to get it back to pit lane so that he doesn't have to take a tow. But he's certainly not going to be able to continue in this condition.
No, he's going to have to go into the pits to get a repair here. That car is not untenable.
Still missing Dichinowski, who is on 6 minutes for his repairs. Looking like quite a bit of time as we thought we had some takers, but Cole Raz tried to sell the dummy to those around him. Now, did I just see someone went through the road course there? I think it was Caden Anderson.
Yeah. I think it was. Maybe that was a little bit of a pit fake out or just having a little fun here tonight. I can't tell which one.
I think he was having some fun. Isaiah Gill did pit ins, and naturally Andy Johnson follows him down. I'm guessing Gill's also to take a few repairs since he was involved in that incident. So the 24 going to fall to the back of the field, and I assume Andy Johnson will have to take a completely spare car here. Let's see if that one pops back in. Yes, he does. So the 28 takes his 1 free repair and is going to return here in a moment. Isaiah Gill, after about 20 seconds or so, also on the track. So the 24 will return in 12th. Still, Travis Barnes is our leader. Cole Raz in 2nd place, as he was on that last restart. Eric Johnson Jr. restarting in 3rd.
Yeah, Johnson Jr., one of the big gainers on that last one, really able to get the car going. But as we've seen, it's really a one-groove track, at least on these first laps of this race. Hopefully, we'll get up to speed a little bit later and get some things going, and we can open up that second groove. But at the start, you got to stick it low.
2 cautions, and we're only 11 laps in. So hopefully we can get this thing cleaned up like DJ was just talking about. I think we're going to be lights out this time by. Can report that both Johnson and Gill have caught up to the back of the field. You know, we talked about bringing North Wilkesboro to the service and whatnot. I love how they went to incredible detail to fit it to 1987 as the track was, rather than recreate it as it is today, which is unfortunately in a bit of a sad state. I'd love to see, although I'm sure it's quite a bit of effort for the art team, I'd love to see them do that with a few more of the ovals, to turn them into an 87 version, and not necessarily have, you know, obviously they can't go and rescan those, but just it'd be fun and fitting for these cars to be able to race at those tracks as they were in that season.
Oh, certainly. Go back to old school Daytona or Atlanta before the complete makeover. It would be a real treat to do. But you know, like I said, it's one of the things that iRacing has sort of taken it upon themselves is trying to preserve racing history. So Joe, I got to agree with you. It'd be a great thing to see.
Certainly they have in a few cases, not only North Wilkesboro, but USA Speedway sadly is no longer with us. So that one was unintentional, but has kept it in the history books. And then probably more well-known, Orrin Park, which they did purposefully go down to try and preserve because they knew that it was going to be demolished. So that Australian circuit is saved for indefinite amount of time here on the iRacing service for anybody to race virtually, even though currently it is sadly now a suburb. As we now are double file We're going to get going on lap 14. Let's see if we can get a longer run in here, boys.
And let's keep an eye again on Travis Barnes, see if he really checks up the field like he did last time. He, as the leader, completely entitled to do so, but it definitely throws the competitors for a loop. So we'll have to see if he's able to do that, if Raz is maybe a little bit wise to him this time and may be able to catch him out and not be caught napping like he was in the last restart.
Down the backstretch, trundling along at a slow 55 miles an hour. Ready for that pace car to take off. This is going to be a fascinating one if they can get a long run going, because we have yet to see how these cars on their fixed setup behave, as they're almost rubbing fenders there. Side by side, our front row. Trying to hold to him. See if he can catch him from jumping. Oh, and he does. Great call there by Cole Raz. Doesn't manage to stay ahead of him, but he kept him honest, and Travis Barnes now has the 21 right behind him as they get up to speed. The 37 of Anderson of the red machine trailing in third. Eric Johnson Jr. starting to pull away from those behind them as the 77 of Bryce Beatty is going to swap fifth place with Kenneth Garber.
Yeah, they're going to keep going, as here you see that's the 18 trying to find something, anything doing, but not able to get by that single lane groove. Really holding true here still on this opening restart.
And back up to our top four as Raz gives chase. The number 11 of Barnes, not as strong right now though. Cole Raz, you can see him gaining, and in fact, he's going to take a look down into turn 3, dives it in. Barnes hanging it high and wide, looks to keep the momentum up, and he's going to be able to retain P1 for the time being, but now he's starting to see threats.
Yeah, there it is, really starting to get good, and great on board there as Travis Barnes sets the fastest lap, and Caden Anderson now pips behind him for third. Here goes Raz looking down the inside on the exit of turn 2, trying to find something, anything. No, he's just going to stay right behind Barnes here, get that draft, poke his nose out a little bit to get a little bit of clean air. Maybe he's going to get a better run off the corner here. I don't think he's close enough to really press his advantage, but he is certainly creating a mirror full for Travis Barnes.
And watching from behind them, Caden Anderson. Let's not forget that the 37 could be a real threat washing up the track. The 21 of Cole Raz has to get out of the throttle. Can't quite get by the 11 now. In fact, that slows him up significantly. Anderson has a shot at something if he wants it, but he does not. He's going to stay in line. Oh, and behind them, woo! Smoking the right rear, the 14 of Eric Johnson Jr. looking a little out of sorts.
Somebody needs to tell Eric we're not in a Fast and Furious movie. That was just absurd, but able to catch it. There you see the car try to step out of line again, but back up front, there you see it. Cole Raz taking another look on the inside of Barnes. He's just got a better feel for that car mid-corner, and he's going to press his advantage down the back stretch.
Could this be the one that finally makes it stick? Oh, he once again just gets pinched down. Doesn't like that low line all that much at this stint in the race. The 11 denies him once again, but he keeps the overlap. So Raz could maybe try something for the first time down into the first corner. Will this one pay any differently? He's going to get almost up to the first tire, the front left, and he's going to hang there. He's figuring it out.
He is really making that work, and really and truly credit here to Travis Barnes for just being able to keep that car on that high line. I thought for sure he wasn't going to be able to, but there you can see the momentum, taking advantage of Cole Raz sliding around on the track a little bit, and Caden Anderson absolutely in the popcorn position here, just watching this incredible battle in front of him.
Not afraid to get up close and personal. The pair of them just inches apart through 1 and 2. And still they are neck and neck, with neither willing to give way. The 37 waiting patiently to see how this plays out. Who should he throw his cards in with as they come out of 3 and 4? Finally, Travis Barnes is disadvantaged because now Cole Raz has a nose ahead. He's going to lead that lap through. and it looks like the 37 has decided the low line is the way to go.
Well, I think with that one, Joe, it's just go with who's ever going faster, and that's exactly what Caden Anderson's doing. But what's really hurting him here is Travis Barnes is getting hurt here by Anderson poking his nose down the inside because Barnes is unable to take an alternate line. He's forced to go up on that high line, and there you see it washes up the track a little bit and move Caden Anderson up into second place.
As this has been happening, the fighting's been so intense at the front, we haven't reported that Isaiah Gill and Andy Johnson on their fresh rubber, they are up to 7th and 8th respectively. So they are flying through the field. A little bit of a bump to the back of Caden Anderson as the number 11 of Travis Barnes gave him a little bit of a rattling.
Yeah, he's definitely not real happy with getting bumped down the field, but all this fighting there has allowed for Eric Johnson Jr. to really start to poke his nose here. You can see him just kind of shadowing Barnes here through that quad oval section of the track. They're going to dive down through one, fan out a little bit, try to get a little bit of clean air on the front of that nose, but then they're going to come back into draft order down the back stretch.
This is all pulling away from the rest of the field. Kenneth Garber in 5th is 1.7 seconds back, so no threat from behind in this quartet of leaders. Up and off of turn 4, each of them taking slightly different lines, all of them sliding all over the place though.
Yeah, they're just not able to get any rear grip, but there you see Caden Anderson really pushing down to that low line, as is Barnes. That is a very, very gutsy move. If you get about a 3 centimeter wrong on that low line, you will be sent spinning. The change from the slope of the turn to the apron, very unsettling for the car. Looks like it's a decent run there for Barnes off the corner, not enough to make it work, but just enough to pressure Anderson a little bit more here.
And now that these top 3 have settled down a little bit, Eric Johnson Jr. doesn't seem to have the speed to hang. He falls back about half a second from the trio. Travis Barnes definitely looking like he's liking how the rubber feels at this point. This is our longest green flag run thus far, and he's going to send it deep on the high side, tries to pinch down Anderson. Doesn't quite get him the track position he needs, but that's given Caden something to think about.
Yeah, Caden definitely knows that Travis Barnes has got a car, and he's not afraid to use it. Here he's going to look about it again, peeking his nose to the outside. Not really enough to be able to get that full trap that he wants to. He's got to back off a little bit halfway through the corner. I think he actually may have been able to pull that off if it were not for the leader, Cole Raz, drifting up there, taking off some of that clean air from the front of that car.
Nearly giving a little shove to Caden Anderson there as we rode on board with Travis Barnes. Nose to tail as they come across the line. 27 laps into this thing, and there is nothing separating the podium.
Nothing at all. Oh, deep dive there from Anderson, really low on the line. The car almost completely sideways. There you see him run up the track. Good job from Travis Barnes not to completely collect in the back of him. And they're still just absolutely nose to tail, these top 3 leaders.
Scary stuff there for Caden. And for Travis Barnes, you have to say, he could have been taken out just as easily if the two of them had tangled. But he certainly seems to like that high side, braking incredibly late multiple times. Now he's going to do it again, but he's blocked by the 37 who was on his racing line. So that one won't work as he wants. And I think we've got a caution. Scott Dagenstein seems to be the one who has caused it in the number 12.
And there you see Dagenstein, a little bit of damage to the front of that car. Not sure if it's from the accident or something previously he may have tangled with, but we're going to jump back to replay here to see what it is. There's Dagenstein right in the middle of your screen in that 12 Wrangler car. You see him, little love tap on the wall there, and a little bit of a larger love tap on the wall there.
Oh, and that was the 4 of Derek Presley screaming by. Unfortunately, unable to avoid the incident. And that popped his motor as well. Not from contact with this other car, he just was trying to predict it. Oh. And his hit to the wall was enough that it seems to have ended the day for at least that engine. Not sure. I think he should be able to get around for a free repair, although he's still circulating currently. Dagenstein has made his way down into the pits.
Yeah, not sure what Derek's thinking there. Is that car is not going to be driving real well with speed. There you see him get caught up to the back of the field and have it not go so well. But here come the leaders down the pits. That's Raz, Anderson, Barnes, pretty much everybody diving down.
And unlike 1987, they do have a pit speed limit for these cars, so they have to crawl along. And Caden Anderson leading the way ahead of Travis Barnes. Did we miss him, overtake him somewhere?
No, Joe, I'm looking at it now. I think Cole Raz stayed out. I think your leader decided not to dive in here.
Oh, you're right. That's what it was. That's why we saw Anderson the first one in. So, who's going to be the first one out now? It looks like Caden off and on his way. Oh, and Barnes has trouble getting it into gear. He's going to be overtaken by Eric Johnson Jr., who's going to slip into third. And poor Cole Raz is going to be on very, very old rubber.
And as much as these cars have been slipping and sliding out here, I got to think that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage to him. But we'll have to see. Raz has been able to make this car work pretty well, keep everything pretty under control, so he may know something we don't. But we will have to see.
So now down to 12 cars on the lead lap, 13 still running. Dagenstein, the only one who is a lap down. He does return with a fresh car and is able to keep competing here for our bonus round. One lap down is not impossible to come back from, although Dagenstein has not been a front runner, so it will take something miraculous for him to be a real challenge for the cash at the end of today. And we're officially a third of the way through this thing as we start lap 31.
A third of the way down, and we'll have to see what these guys are able to do in terms of pit stop strategy, if they're going to need another one on fuel. My gut is telling me that they are, as you see them just weaving their way along there through turn one, figuring out what is going to be the next line to take. We've seen on the opening laps, you want to go low. It's going to be a question of who's going to have the guts to go high early, and will it pay off, Joe?
Absolutely. And can Caden Anderson take advantage of what could be a lot of clean air in front of him now that he'll have a huge advantage in terms of rubber over Cole Raz? We're waiting for them to get double file, which should be this next time by. Of our hard chargers, it appears that Derek Presley's done a fair job, up 4 positions from 13th to 9th. He's in the number 4, despite having to pop in, I think, at least once for a spare car that I can recall. Otherwise, I'm only really seeing drivers up 3 or 4 positions for the most part.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of crazy shifting as they get ready to go here. I thought for a second that Cole Raz was going to do the little jink into the infield section there, but he's just warming his tires up. But no, it's been a relatively consistent race, and it pans out if you look at the timing. You know, you mentioned about Scott Dagenstein trying to work his way back up the field, but these cars really highlight the drivers quite well. Scott's about a second off the pace of your leaders, and those leaders are able to do about 4 to 5 tenths of a second better each lap. So it's really and truly just getting harder and harder and harder to get up front if you're not running there already, you know?
Makes me think the tire management might be the critical part of this race. Who can keep it underneath them as things go by. Speaking of tire management, does appear that we've got a few that are doing their best to get the tires up to temp once again. I can see the 37 of Anderson doing a lot of braking and accelerating here himself to try and get something underneath him. Into turn 3, we're going racing once again on lap 33. And it is going to be Cole Raz who leads the way. 21 weaving a little bit, seeing what he can get underneath him. His car looking to duck away. Mustang is on the lane. No waiting for Cole Raz. He is off like a shot as the green flag waves. Immediately slotting in behind him, Caden Anderson, wasting no time to try and take to the racing line. Behind them, Isaiah Gill going to beat out Travis Barnes for 4th. And they are all single file down through 1 and 2.
Everybody keep it together nice and easy, and there's the first time that you see Raz's decision not to take tires coming back to bite him a little bit. Washed up a hair coming off of turn 2, and that really allowed for Caden Anderson to catch up. Anderson had way more speed coming into 3, forced him to move up the track ever so slightly. Anderson, I think, here is just biding his time on Raz. He knows he's got him. That fresh rubber for Anderson really, really paying dividends.
All right, they're up to speed now. Is he going to be able to make the overtake? The 37 looking down low. He knows he's got more grip going into the corner. 21 staying up high. Gives him space down at the bottom. He sees the writing on the wall. Cole Raz slots back into 2nd.
Whew, everybody getting very squirrely off of 4 there, as Anderson is able to make his way around, keeping it nice in front, and now it's going to be Raz trying to fight back. Travis Barnes, though, in 4th, putting in the fastest lap of the race. And there you see again Cole Raz washing up the track. That's going to allow for Eric Johnson Jr. to get that move to the inside, get that car going, and it looks like he's going to have the preferred line.
There's the answer to our question. Holding the low side on old rubber seems to be infinitely harder than what we're experiencing with the cars that have pitted. The 14 now up into 2nd place. Cole Raz has Travis Barnes, going to try and demote him one more off the podium. He tries to send it in deep, taking a lesson from the number 11. I don't think it's going to pay off, though, as it's just cannot compete with the tires of these drivers who have pitted. Pulls him off for one more corner, but it starts to drift back, and he's unfortunately going to have to give way to Gill as well.
It really is that decision for Raz not paying out whatsoever. He is just getting gobbled up. Ooh, a little bit of smoke in the back there. Not sure if that was an accident or a little bit
yeah, that is Matthews, unfortunately, with a big accident. We got a caution. So it looks like Ryan McLeod. No, not Ryan McLeod. Who else was involved in that? Kenneth Garber in the 96, unfortunately.
So here we jump back to the replay. There you can see that is Kyle Matthews coming in. Looks like he caught a little bit of the grass. Ooh, just gets it up into the line. And oh, big hit there with the 96 of Kenneth Garber. That's going to take the both of them right down pit lane.
Seems like it's very, very difficult for drivers to anticipate that exit. Well, I guess it's more the entry, but it's the exit of the quad oval, because we've seen so many of them just slap the wall all on their own, coming past the start-finish line.
Yeah, you know, Joe, it's one of the things that it is these cars are so heavy. And they're very, very hard to get moving the way you need them to. And so it's very, very difficult to get them slowed down and to make a quick course correction when that type of thing happens quickly. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening here. Is he got a, thought you were going to have a taker, and to the surprise of nobody, that is Cole Raz diving down pit lane.
Ugh. Going all the way to the back as the only one that didn't pit last time through. Kenneth Garber also entering pit lane to get some repairs. And that is it. Everybody else stays out.
And you see Raz coming to a stop in his pit stall. There go the right side tires coming up. And there they go down. And so we're just waiting here for Raz to get out. Everybody else working their way around the track. It's going to take him a while to get back up and get back around, but I got to tell you, he's got a quick car, Joe, and he may just be able to make things work tonight, even from the back.
Now, was it just me, or does he have damage on the rear of his car? Yes, he does.
He does indeed.
Yeah. When did he get that? It looks like someone just gave a punch to the center of the rear bumper. Now, these aren't terribly aero-dependent cars, especially not here at Charlotte, but fascinating that he's been hit that hard, because I don't recall that happening so far.
Nor do I. I'm not sure. Maybe that was just a little bit of checking up after the yellow flew, or maybe a bump draft gone wrong.
That's a good point. Maybe someone just didn't get the memo, and he slowed a little bit before those behind him. Let's see if we get the lights off this time. Bye. So we come down to the line. Your new leader, Caden Anderson, ahead of Eric Johnson Jr. and Travis Barnes, running in the third position. Nope, we got lights continuing to stay on, so we'll have at least 2 more laps before we go green. Knowing that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're just about at the halfway point. Stick around, because there's more to come here with the South Sound Speedway E-Series. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're getting ready to restart on lap 42. And our drivers, we had a few little bits of contact just now, as unfortunately the warming of the tires has finally caught a few of them out. So hopefully that didn't cause too much damage, but we are still at 13 drivers running. Scott Dagenstein, the last one, and who is back on the lead lap. He was given his lap back with that. Only Matthew Dichinowski, with his opening wreck, unfortunately sat on pit lane waiting for repairs after a full 30 minutes and some change. As the Mustang pace car comes off of 4, it is going to be Anderson who has control in the 37. He waits. He's going to hold him for a while, and now he goes. Green flag is out. The 37 is off. In fact, this caught Eric Johnson Jr. napping, and down to the inside, Travis Barnes in third has a good shot at stealing second away, and he does it.
And don't count out Isaiah Gill there either, starting to take a good look on Johnson as well, but Johnson able to hold him off as they fly down the backstretch here. Everybody just sizing each other up. Barnes really looking like he's got a good run, diving down into 2 and 3. Maybe not going to have it, but he's a little bit lower off the line. He's going to have a good run to see what he can set up as they cross the start-finish.
Wow, Barnes is on a great run here, already nearly underneath the rear bumper of Caden Anderson, as we got a spin behind them. Can he catch it? Eric Johnson Jr. keeps the car from going around. He's going to get split on either side by the 28 of Bryce Beatty and the 77 of Bryce Beatty and the 28 of Andy Johnson. That is going to cause an incredible mess back here. Look at them all picking various lines up and down the hill, and still they managed to come out clean. But it is going to be the car of Cole Raz in the number 21, holding fourth ahead of Johnson.
Amazing driving there from everybody to both stay clear and to stay alive during all of that. But the leaders really starting to separate out there as the battle's starting to heat up behind them. Diving down in through 3 and 4, the 28 Andy Johnson just holding station, seeing what can happen. But there behind him, you see that is that they're diving down there. Sorry, I'm losing track of everything. That's Eric Johnson going to the inside of Kenneth Garber, of Bryce Beatty there, rather. Really good move there from Johnson to be able to hold it after that scary incident.
Beatty on the high side, trying to see if he can retain the position he had earned after Johnson's mistake. But Eric Johnson Jr. with that inside line should have a little bit of an advantage, especially with a nose ahead. Down through 3 and 4, he clears them. Momentum in favor of Bryce Beatty, though, exiting the corner. Tries to get that overlap back, but I think he is fighting a losing battle. Oh, yeah, maybe not. Whoa.
Oh, look at that run. He's able to hold it there on the outside. Beatty just able to get that car a little squirrely off the line there, but so's Johnson. And Beatty's going to carry that momentum through 3 and 4. He is going to have the length, the advantage, and the momentum. I think he's got it. Car washes a little bit, though. Johnson starts to claw back mid-corner. Can they hold it? They're still going to be side by side across the line.
Watching from on board. And Kenneth Garber's number 96. He's got a front row seat to watch the action. Credit to the 77, never say die here for Bryce Beatty. Still working hard. And of course, that is the 18, excuse me, for Bryce Beatty. As he works his way around. Still fighting tooth and nail to see if he can retain, but now he's got it as Eric Johnson seals the deal on 6th place. But let's go to the lead because Travis Barnes has been poking and prodding at Caden Anderson to see if he can get back up front.
He's trying to do whatever he can, just filling Anderson's rear view mirrors this way and that, making him sure he knows he is there. But Anderson able to hold down to that low line, just grip down onto it hard, and he has not given Barnes any space to maneuver.
That's Kyle Matthews. That's a lapped car, just letting them through nicely. So not for position. Number 11 of Travis Barnes in the blue and white, pressuring the number 37 of Caden Anderson in the red onto the backstretch. I just love watching how these cars move and race around the track. Something just so eerily accurate to how the real things did in '87.
100%. They are absolutely fantastic to watch. You can just see every little move the drivers have to make as we're jumping back here to a good battle in P5.
Oh, and cars having to go around a lapped car. That's what's causing that to check up. Andy Johnson just behind Eric Johnson Jr. He just got by Bryce Beatty, who now falls to 7th. Kenneth Garber allowed to gain a little bit of time with all that.
Yeah, Garber's going to start to claw onto the back here a little bit if he can, but it looks like as the moment is right now, these guys are running in almost identical gaps to each other, trying to figure out anything that they can do. But they cross the line right there, seeing what can happen. They're going to dive down. Nobody doing there. That's really interesting from Johnson, taking that wide line, cutting off a little bit of Beatty, just trying to take away any advantage he can get from him.
A bit of a poke there from Garber, but nothing doing down the backstretch. Let's jump away from this because Travis Barnes still keeping it to within about 0.2 of a second over Caden Anderson. And continuing to hound him. We hop on board and watch as they scream through 1 and 2 onto the backstretch. This is actually the biggest gap for a while that Anderson's been able to pull on the 11.
Yeah, Anderson's been able to do it, and a lot of that has been helped by those lap cars that you saw and you see coming up right now. But they're going to have to keep his eyes open, hope those lap cars get out of the way. But it looks like just holding down to that line, Barnes, I can't tell if he's unable to get by right now, Joe, or if he's just a little happy just filling up his rear view, not wanting to push now, knowing that we have a little over halfway here to go.
Stay here, but I can tell you that Bryce Beatty unfortunately lost 7th to Kenneth Garber. The 96 gets bumped up 1 and is already setting chase Andy Johnson. As we watch over the dashboard of the number 11, he looked for a brief while like he might have something, but now he may be just biding his time. Now on lap 54 here out of 90. We're well past halfway. Still 13 of our 14 starters on track. A good exit from the number 11 that time out of 2.
Yeah, he's really able to keep it down there, but had to check up just ever so slightly down the back stretch. Not really able to make anything happen quite yet, but he's got a good run here, Joe.
Down and across the line, it's down to 1/10 of a second. He has halved that distance in just a couple laps. Behind them, let's not forget about Cole Raz. Remember how he had to try and chase the car around a little bit, avoiding the near spin of Eric Johnson Jr. He's got about half a second to close down on our leaders. I'm sure he'd love to see them start to fight side by side.
He certainly would, and that's a lot of heads-up driving from Raz, being able to cut back up after that failed pit strategy that he took. But there you see Barnes thinking about diving down the inside on the quad oval, but thinking better of it, just staying tucked up behind still here. Raz just slowly but surely trying to reel these guys in by maybe 1,000th or 100th of a second a lap.
Still plenty of racing left to go, so he's got time. And again, we mentioned earlier, they might have to conserve a little bit on the tires because it seems they are a handful to deal with out here today. Barnes, after closing in and closing down on that gap, has lost a little bit of again. But man, a big chunk taken out this time by Cole Raz. He's down to 0.3 of a second now.
Raz really has the car under him. Really pushing well. He is just biding his time, though, trying to see when that opportunity is going to strike, much like Barnes is. But you can see him here. He's able to stay lower off the exits of the corners. He's able to dive in a little bit earlier. Those newer tires really coming into play for him.
9 laps difference. Not all of them under green flag racing, but it's enough. And this may have been a better call than we first anticipated for him making that late pit stop. They head back into 3 and 4. Travis Barnes has cut it down once again, gets it to within 1/10 of a second. But can he do anything with it now that he's there?
He's going to try to. We did see earlier, though, Joe, when you get these 3 cars starting to get into a triangle, that's when some interesting things can happen. You get a little bit more air displaced in front. You can take better advantage of the draft, et cetera, et cetera. So that may be nice for Raz here, but we'll have to see.
Enters a little bit high. Travis Barnes trying some different things. Squares off the corner. Ahead of them, Kyle Matthews just going to completely pull out of the way and take to the chicane.
Smart move there from Matthews. He is 2 laps down, and I have to respect going for the chicane there. That's a nice, flashy, fun way to do it. But this now leading triplet, all separated by about 0.4 of a second. Anderson, Barnes, Raz, really, really starting to fight hard with 2/3 of the race in the books.
The 21 rocks up to the back of both Travis Barnes and Caden Anderson. Will he struggle with the same thing that Barnes has? Looked to be quite a bit faster at points, but just unable to do anything with his pace. Let's not forget about Eric Johnson Jr. and Kenneth Garber fighting for P4 behind them. In fact, those two have kind of been climbing forward. I wonder if Kenneth Garber kind of just saw Johnson pushing his way up the field and decided, I'll have a bit of that, and clung to his coattails.
I've been keeping an eye at him in the corner of my eye, and that's exactly what he was doing, just tucked up behind the back of Johnson and said, please bring me with you. As now they set their sights on Isaiah Gill right in front of them. Gill just sort of running in a world all to his own right there, but these two really pushing on it. Garber, a lot like these leaders, not really wanting to make too of an aggressive move here on Johnson, just perfectly content to sit behind, to wait, and to watch.
Well, you say that, and now he ducks his nose in immediately. Commentator's curse strikes again. The 96, seeing if he can sneak by the 14 of Eric Johnson Jr. now that he's done the hard work for him. They're going to go side by side, and just as they were approaching Isaiah Gill, too, I thought that they were going to be able to get by him. But let's go back to Cole Raz. Cole Raz had an attempt at second on Caden Anderson. Actually, no, Travis Barnes got by Caden Anderson. We missed the pass for the lead.
Did indeed, as they're continuing to fight, and Anderson's not letting it go by, but Barnes working that high line, trying to make it happen with a little bit of help from Cole Raz behind now. These three really in a fierce battle.
Back to the low side. Caden Anderson almost loses it. He gets wobbly. He gives a shove to the 11 as he tries to catch it. And somehow Travis Barnes does not hit the outside wall. I'm not sure how, though. That was miraculous.
That is nothing short of a miracle, Joe. Absolutely incredible for Barnes, but you can see all the momentum that he lost. We're going to jump back to replay to check it out, though.
That was just stunning. So Anderson back up to the top spot, and Cole Raz now into second. But because of this incident, that's Caden Anderson on the bottom side. You're seeing just start to lose out a little bit, chases it up the hill, and the poor 11 car gets the brunt of it.
Just amazing, the sawing at the wheel that he had to have been doing there. Absolutely incredible. But look at this, he's not that far out of it as we got a car behind him running into the attenuator. But we're going to keep focused on this battle here as Raz trying to find something to get around Anderson with, but nothing doing. And Barnes still close enough to make things happen. He's less than a second behind after that very scary walk-up.
That was Derek Presley who had that incident, and behind them, they have completely switched around due to lap traffic. Gill is now in 6th, Eric Johnson Jr. in P5 still, and Garber has managed to get up into 4th. In fact, I think Gill caught a little bit of the wall.
Yeah, I think you may be right, Joe, but Garber's starting to put the screws here. Now, these guys are about 5 seconds behind that leading trio, but the battle getting good as there you see Isaiah Gill diving to the inside of Eric Johnson Jr. They were going to drag race down the backstretch. Momentum was, you'd think, would be with Johnson, but it looks like it's not. But here it comes on the outside. Good speed for Johnson on the outside, but it has to check back up ever so slightly. Gill has the position.
Gill back into the top 5 now, and we are into the final third of this race. It's starting to heat up. We don't know, though, if they can go to the end without another pit stop. And would the tires actually be enough, honestly, at this point to take that gamble?
It might be, but we're closing in here on 20 laps to go. I don't know when or if they're going to have to, but we're just going to have to sit here with our bags of popcorn and watch the fun, because this battle up front not ending. Anderson, Raz, and Barnes. Barnes able to be right up behind despite that walk up the wall, keeping everything nice and tight as it looked like there was a little smoke up in front, but they're able to keep going.
I think that's a connection problem for the car ahead. Cole Raz manages to get a fantastic run here, coming down into turn 3. He's got the inside. Anderson can't hold him behind. He'll still manage to stay side by side. He carries the momentum well off of 4. Coming down to start lap 70 into turn 1 once more. It's a fight for the lead between Caden Anderson and Cole Raz, with Travis Barnes in the popcorn position.
And Joe, all that squabbling, Barnes was about 0.5 of a second back. He is now right up the rear bumper of these guys, of Kai Anderson. So he is really, really loving seeing this battle. There you see the momentum, trying to work on the high side, not having it. Raz has the better line there on the inside, gets it real close to that grass as here they come diving into one. Lap traffic up ahead. This is where it gets interesting.
And boy, Barnes is now firmly into the fight. He'll be underneath Caden Anderson on that high side. I don't think the 37 has an answer. Indeed, he's going to fall back now to P3. So once again, they switch around. Cole Raz, your new leader.
Raz able to hold it, Barnes able to recover, but here comes Anderson, not one to sit idly by. Ooh, catches a little bit of the grass there coming into the quad oval. He's going to dive down to the inside on Barnes. You can see that car get a little bit squirrely, but he's able to keep it under control. Not enough to slide up the track and shut the door on Barnes, but enough to at least lead off the corner. They're going to rub a little paint as the momentum carries Barnes to the outside.
Woo. Down to 3 and 4. Barnes on the high side in the number 11. And he managed to complete this and get ahead of the 37. Not quite. Anderson's still in it. Down into turn 1. Looks like Caden Anderson could keep his speed up. Maybe. No, he gets pinched down once again. And the 11 of Travis Barnes working that high side well, but all of this fighting means that Cole Raz is now 0.6 of a second ahead. This is the best lead that we've seen anybody have for quite some time.
And jumping back, you can see a great battle developing here between Garber and Gill. These two have just been absolutely slugging it out this past couple of laps. There goes Gill, looking to the outside, trying to find something, and dives down. Is he going to make it work here?
Not quite. I don't think the the 86 has enough in it, as the 96 above him. Boy, sliding off the corner costs himself the valuable momentum. Here comes Gill once again. Oh, but he's under that blue line. The car holds on to it. Thought he was going to lose it there, side by side off of turn 4 and across the line once again, nose to nose. Looks like Isaiah Gill could make this stick. No, he is just a little too shallow into the turn, and he gives it up, so Kenneth Garber holds on to 4th.
You can only be that lucky once, Isaiah, and look, coming down low on that blue line through 1 and 2. Not happening for him there, but he's going to try again. He's still got enough speed to be close here to Garber. Look at that run off of the corner. Here he comes.
Working the high side. And Isaiah Gill is trying to use every trick in the book that he can. The over-under maybe getting the 96 to go up high. Nope, not going to work there. The black Monte Carlo will retain P4. We're not missing anything up at the front. Barnes still well behind Cole Raz. In fact, it's a whole second from P1 to P2. So this is our closest fight among the top 5.
There you can see again Gill working this way and that. He's going to jink to the outside. I think, though, he showed his hand a little bit, Joe. I think Garber knows what he wants to do, that he thinks that low line is best. And there you see Garber cutting him off a little bit. He's going to be forced to back off the throttle ever so slightly, not get the perfect run here. He's just going to have to gather his cards and try it again, though, through 3 and 4.
I've seen a couple cars come into pit lane. Don't need to go to them. I think most of these were for repairs. As I see Bryce Beatty and Ryan McLeod have a little bit of longer stops. Actually, no, Ryan McLeod's might be a standard stop as we go side by side once again. The 86 on the low side at a nose ahead. And Kenneth Garber can't hold him back forever, unfortunately.
He can't, but he's going to try an over-under here a little bit. Well, thought about it, and then he's going to dive back into that draft. These two's just absolutely keeping each other honest here. Now, it'll have to be interesting to see what Garber can do, to see if he can psych out Gill a little bit. Gill was able to really, I think, get into the head of Garber, make him think he was going to go one way and then jerk back the other, and that's what made it work. But Gill, thus far, able to hold the advantage.
12 laps to go. If anybody thinks they can't make it, either they're going to need to start slowing down, or they should hopefully pit soon. Granted, we could get a caution. That could extend the fuel if it is a concern. Meanwhile, Isaiah Gill and Kenneth Garber really giving us a show in these final few laps.
They are putting on a good one, as there you see Gill getting very squirrely through the quad oval. That's going to allow for Garber to catch up ever so slightly. But, and there he goes, trying to fight his way down to the inside as Gill washes up ever so bit. They're going to drag race again down the backstretch.
Side by side into 3 and 4. Garber has the advantage with the inside and a nose ahead. Look at him go way underneath there. The car washes up. He has to catch it. That's brave stuff from the 86 of Gill, and he's going to lose it off the corner. Somehow doesn't touch the wall. Both of them are on the edge of control.
I have no idea how these cars are still pointing in a straight line. This is absolutely incredible, Joe. They are just driving these things on the ragged edge here.
What a fantastic fight. That's a lapped car. That's Scott Dagenstein. In fact, he's a lap down right now and in 9th place. He's gained a lot of positions back as this thing has gone on, although he almost cuts a little too low into our fight, causes both of them to have to take evasive action.
I think both of their hearts are in their mouths right now, but it's not going to keep stopping any of the action here. Garber trying to poke his nose down the inside of Gill once more, really looking for something. Can he make it do? No, ooh, there's a little bit of momentum there coming off the corner for Garber.
There goes the 96 down to the inside. This time he learned his lesson. Oh, but he still is washing up. Cannot find the grip at all. And into the wall goes Isaiah Gill. Just a little bit of a scrape, and we had smoke to the inside. That is Derek Presley, who is out of the way, so I don't think we'll have a caution. Gill's momentum sorely hurt by that. The 86 falls down to 5th.
And that, I think, is one of the things that Garber may have been trying to do. Just get into his head. That's one of the easiest ways to get a pass out, is get into the head as they start to go. But, Joe, unless my eyes mislead me, that is Caden Anderson directly in front of Garber. They have caught up to the back of him.
You're right. I had to check myself. My goodness, is Anderson tight on fuel? Is he trying to stretch his thing? He's on lap 54, but he's on the same amount of laps as Gill and not Garber. Garber's on lap 45. He's certainly hurting. He must have smacked the wall, maybe. He is very slow.
Yeah, he really, really is. I'm not seeing a lot of damage to the car, but I don't know what... Yeah, nothing on the outside either. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he is on a fuel save run here.
Not so for Cole Raz, that's for sure. As he is currently leading by 3.3 seconds, almost pushing him around now suddenly. As Isaiah Gill on the back of Garber. Now that shouldn't really be the case because Gill is the one that is on a longer stint on fuel. He's the one that needs to save and needs the pushing. He's going to try to get to the inside once again, though. He's up to 3rd now with this.
He's fighting for it. He's got the momentum as they cross the line. He's going to get back in front of Garber. Garber's going to try to get anything going on. He's not going to have anything to fight back here, but we have seen the ability to come back off of 3 and 4 with that momentum, but looks like it's not going to hold there for Garber.
We're down to 6 drivers left on the lead lap. This really is like a retro NASCAR race. As they come off the corner. Whoa! Getting all kinds of loose. Can he hold on to it? The 86 is smoking the tires. He dives across the grass. He's going to hold the car, but he's going to lose the spots.
He lost the spot, but give that man the award for best save of the year as we watch this on replay. Joe, this was incredible.
Saved it about 5 separate times. Wow, he was very sideways there. Hopping over the grass. As this has been happening, Cole Raz is only a handful of laps to go. 3 left with a 5.3 second gap over Travis Barnes.
He has just been absolutely able to pull away here. That later pit stop for Raz, I think, maybe made it so that he didn't have to save any fuel, just able to keep on the loud pedal as much as possible as he comes through the quad oval. 2 to go now for Cole Raz.
Number 21, in the end, looks like he is going to be able to romp away with this thing. He was fastest in warm-up. He didn't take the pole. In fact, he wasn't even on the front row. He started from 4th today. And he's leading when it counts. Also, credit to Kenneth Garber, who is looking at a podium after starting from 10th on the grid.
Who is that but Isaiah Gill back in the picture?
Indeed. And we're on the white flag lap as Cole Raz has now taken that one. Still continuing that fight, my goodness. As this pair sends it down into 1 and 2, we hop away to Cole Raz now. 2 corners to go. Diving into 3. And then drifting off of 4. The number 21 of Cole Raz takes victory and $50 here today for the South Sound Speedway E-Series.
Amazing run there from Raz, and here comes across the line Travis Barnes to take P2. Isaiah Gill able to hold that position for P3, and Kenneth Garber coming home in P4.
Andy Johnson in 5th, and Caden Anderson, the last one on the lead lap in the number 37. So with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Today's unofficial race for the South Sound Speedway E-Series has awarded $50 to this man, Cole Raz, burning it down after a victory from 4th on the grid. Travis Barnes followed him home. He looked one of the quickest for much of the day, and unfortunately just didn't have it at the end of the race when he needed it. Isaiah Gill with an impressive podium. A driver who nearly lost it with just a couple laps to go, cutting across the grass and still managing a podium. Kenneth Garber behind him finished 4th, gaining 6 positions. Andy Johnson was P5, and the last car on the lead lap was Caden Anderson, finishing 6th, mysteriously losing pace in the final stint. Scott Dagenstein was a lap down in 7th, and Bryce Beatty was the only other one on that same lap in 8th, with Eric Johnson Jr. 2 laps down in 9th, and Jeff Peterson rounding out your top 10.
Ryan McLeod was able to come home in 11th, 4 laps down, followed by Derek Presley in 12th, 7 laps down. Kyle Matthews in 13th, Matthew Dukanowski in 14th. Eric Cheney did not take the field, and that is your finishing order.
We've got our 3rd place finisher ready to talk to us, Isaiah Gill. Hopefully the adrenaline has gone down a little bit since that save that he had towards the end of the race. Isaiah, that was just incredible to watch, both the battle between you and Kenneth and the save you made at the end. I mean, what was going through your mind there?
Going through mine was just not to lift because I don't like to lift, so not a points race. So when I kept the throttle down, it was whatever happened, happened.
Wow, that makes it all the more impressive. It seems that towards the end, especially that last stint, the tires were going away for a number of drivers. Did you have to baby them to make them last?
Yeah, for sure. After I seen the pace of the first three of Anderson, Raz, and Travis, it was just a tire saving game for me at that point.
Well, it wound up paying off because you managed to take a podium in the end. So we've got the two fun races out of the way and return to the official racing for the season next week at Lanier and a little bit slower cars. Are you looking forward to some more short track racing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not really good at anything over the longer track, so anything short track and using the bumper, I'm in for.
Awesome stuff. That was Isaiah Gill, our third place finisher here today. A few more spots down, getting a top five. It was Andy Johnson, and DJ has caught up with him.
Andy, to say that was an action-packed race, I think would be the understatement of the century. It looked like those cars were a handful out there tonight.
Oh yeah, I love these cars. These things are so much fun to drive. I mean, you got to be perfect. I mean, they're 10 laps in or so. I screwed up and got into the fence, wrecked half the field, I think. But took the quick repair, worked my way up back up front, and after that pit stop, I decided to lay back and see if I could save some tires and came out with the top five. I was hoping a couple guys up front would have a little bit more tire issues with how hard they were pushing them, but wound up with like 2% left in my right front tire at the end of it. So it was a lot of fun. Tire management was key. Yeah, just a ton of fun in these things.
Well, you took my next question away from me there, man. I was going to ask you if it was more tire limited or fuel limited there, as we weren't sure as guys were starting to run out at the end if they were saving tires or saving fuel.
Yeah, they're under yellows and stuff. I kept the car in fourth gear and clutched it, and just used just enough speed to keep up with the guy in front of me, and kept the clutch in for probably 80% of each lap under yellow, save as much fuel as I could. I topped it off there on the first pit stop just in case it went green to the end, and surprisingly, it really did. So.
Well, I know from the commentator's booth that's always a good thing to see. But Andy, congratulations on that fifth place. It was a heck of a race, and we will see you back when we get going on the short tracks again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to the short tracks too. I want to take a second, thank Key Property Services and of course Eric Johnson Jr. for putting the series on. It's been a lot of fun, and looking forward to next week.
We're looking forward to seeing you, Joe.
That was Andy Johnson, fifth place. It looks like we've got one more to talk to, and that was Eric Johnson Jr. Unfortunately, finished 2 laps down after hitting the wall late in the race. But before that, Eric, you were hanging out with the leaders up towards the front. What do you most attribute to the poor result today? Is it the near miss that you had almost spinning, or is it that hit with the wall, or is it just a combination of things?
Man, I am telling you, the fact that there is a list of mistakes is about all I need to know. It's just these small mistakes I need to get put back together and finish these things out the way I should. Pretty much all just behind the wheel, but I had a blast running with these guys.
It looked like a blast, especially from our perspective. At one point, you were up at the front running in fourth, and you saw them battling a lot. Were you drooling a bit seeing all that going on?
Yeah, I can't tell you how bad I wanted to get up there and run with these guys. Cole and Travis and Caden, they're all amazing drivers in both the sim world and the real world. So I definitely enjoy running with them. And as bad as I want to get up there, I just got a few more mistakes I got to clean up before I can get up there and run with them.
This has to be one of the more unique vehicles on the iRacing service. What did you garner from hopping in them to race here at Charlotte today?
Really, I think the main thing to focus on with these was just taking care of your stuff. And obviously you can see some people did and some people didn't, just like me. So it was really just I think it came down to who was smartest with their stuff, who attacked when they needed to be, and who played defensive when they needed to be. And besides that, you can obviously see Cole did it perfectly, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment for sure. Well, again, commiserations that it wasn't a better result in the end, but thanks for the great action, and hopefully we'll see you at Lanier.
Thank you for having me, guys.
And that was Eric Johnson, I believe that is going to wrap us out tonight. So we're going to give a thank you as well to our sponsors, Key Property Services. If you want to find more info on them, they can be found at kpsinc.net. And of course, United Roofs. Their website is simply unitedroofs.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. But more information is at our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_brand. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com, but we've got a link in the description below. And make sure and subscribe to the channel while you're down there clicking that. As we mentioned, the next race is going to be at Lanier. That'll be in the Legends cars, interestingly. It'll be Saturday, January 9th at 10 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.